Hello and welcome to Tarmac. I am Dave.
I'm Matthew, and this dynamic looking diamond behind us is none other than the new Renault Arkana.
That's right, it's a Renault with a coupe styling and an SUV, so it's a coupe SUV or something. Anyway, let's take a look at this. Okay, so the Renault Arkana, this is a whole new vehicle for the brand, and for those that need, I actually had to look this up, but the word Arkana actually means secret knowledge. This isn't no secret anymore, and as far as knowledge goes, well, you know, there's actually quite a lot to learn about it. Up front here we have a Renault diamond grille, which well, the diamond from Renault. This is, you know, unmistakably a Renault, and you know, actually as much of the styling, its chic Frenchness styling, is very Renault-ish. The rest of the front here, you've got a lovely blackened out grille here that's you know, fully textured away from there. Down the bottom here you've got a nice skid plate, which, yes, it's plastic, but you know, it strikes it really nicely. And also this grille is actually bookcased by the nice C DRLs coming along either side. So like I said, very unmistakably Renault. The other thing that I've just been reliably informed, this diamond will be sort of going past. It's one of the last of the ones to look with the diamonds as they move into more of a tech company that does cars. What that means, again, don't know. Let's look down the side. Underneath it all, underneath this new styling, which I'll get to in a minute, is a CMF-B platform, which is basically a platform that they share with Nissan. But from a Renault point of view, you would have seen it in the Captur and also in the Clio. So it's got quite a nice basic to it, or nice set of nice bones, as many people would say. Looking around it, look, it's unmistakably a coupe. Look at this rake roof back here, but also it's 200 millimeters off the ground, so it is a high riding SUV coupe sort of thing going on. Looking further forward here, you've got 17-inch feet and lovely design to them here, and also some guards around here for your wheel arches. In New Zealand, we've got both basically the Zen and the Intense models. There's also globally, when you're looking around, you've got the RS models, and also there's different powertrains coming into hybrids and things like that. Like I said, we've got the Intense. The RS model would have some RS stuff here, so a little bit of bling here. Body coloured door mirrors. We've got what's known as the Flame Red. And in terms of size wise, it's 4.5 meters or 4.56 meters in length, just over 2 meters in width, and height wise you're looking at 1.57 millimeters. Like I said, it is sort of more crossover in all honesty than SUV, but you've still got 200 mils from there to go over some bumpy stuff. In terms of aerodynamics, this has got a drag coefficient of 0.36, so certainly better than a brick, but there are more efficient cars out there, but we'll get to the efficiency stuff soon. But look at this lovely sloping roof that goes round to the rear. The rear is very interesting actually. You've got a nice sort of inbuilt boot lid spoiler across here, or what would you call this? The fastback spoiler or something. Anyway, more of your diamonds. The Arkana is spout out from here. As you can see here, look, LED strips. So this is a really pleasant look from there. More sort of plastic sort of scuff plate down here. And when you open up the boot, you open up to 485 litres that goes out to, with all the seats down, 1285 or something around those. And it's also 2 levels like that. The exhaust pipes are basically fake, so nothing to see here, just more designy stuff. But the exhaust that is actually under here goes straight under the bonnet. Let's go there. What we have here is a 1.3 litre turbo engine strapped to a 7-speed DCT gearbox. It offers up 115 kilowatts of power and 262 newton meters of torque. So it's pretty hefty as far as that goes, certainly in torque speak. 0 to 100 is in 9 seconds, actually 9.1, and for fuel efficiency it's 6.7 litres per 100 kilometres, and out of the exhaust that you can't see, 152 grams of CO2 per kilometre, so not bad. The big thing that I want to point out here is the fact that it's 30,000 kilometers in between servicing. So this will just basically 3 times as much as most other manufacturers say. You can just skip two services and things. Not bad. Speaking of things that need to skip a service, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
Well, I may be, I don't know, due in for a service sometime soon, but well, this car, the interior, it looks factory fresh. Well, that's because it is, but in terms of the specs and the features in here, it's nicely appointed for the price range that it's at. And especially if you look at, you know, the use of soft touch materials there, this nicely patterned feature across the dashboard there, and then this screen, which is in a portrait layout, so it's much easier to use with CarPlay or Android Auto because all of our phones are in a portrait layout. So they have thought of, you know, all the little bits and pieces there, which is good from Renault. Firstly, to those seats. Well, in this model, the Intens, they are leather, covered in leather. You've got a bit of suede going on at the top. There's some light bolstering, but we haven't been able to get comfortable in them so far. I do actually prefer the seats in the Zen model, strangely enough. But I'll leave that up to you if some of you have a preference for leather. That same leather feel, well, that goes across the door cards as well, and on the top of the central armrest there. So there's plenty of soft touches around, which gives this a nice premium feel as well. In terms of storage spaces, this is of course a practical family SUV, even though it's got that coupe style roofline coming down. So you have good sized door cubbies there, space for your phone there, 2 cup holders, some space underneath there. But the real party trick in this car is that glove box. Now the glove box in there has a total volume of something like 5.5 liters. I think it's 5.7 liters to be exact. So it'll consume most of my arm if I want to stick it in there. I'm not quite sure why it's that large. Maybe it's for, you know, French wine bottles or something, but yeah, I'll leave that up to you again. In terms of the luxuries, well, as I pointed out, those seats, they're both heated and ventilated. The steering wheel is heated. You've got LED lighting in here, which you can change the colors of as well. So it's got all those little premium touches, which are quite cool too. And all of those touches, of course, can be operated through this touchscreen. So let's take a look at that. So as I said before, this touchscreen, it's very interesting to see something that's in a portrait layout because everybody else does it in a landscape layout. So it's much easier when it comes to using Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or any sort of phone projection because it's laid out as you would expect to see on your phone. So this is the home screen here, and you have basically the navigation up there, you have the audio input there, and of course your phone there. And what's cool is you can see user 2 up there, and you can actually configure, I think, about 5 different users in here. So it does remember who is driving the car. This is the home screen, as I said. So if you click into this button there, these are all the apps the car has. And some of the cool party tricks here come in the form of these shortcuts. So you have the button there for your seat heater and ventilator. So click that, and you can turn the driver and passenger seats on and off in terms of heating and ventilating, and choose your levels as well. So if you look at this button down here with the flowery pattern on it, click into that, and that takes you into the Renault Multi-Sense and MySense mode. So what it does is it offers you the chance to move between Sport, Eco, or the MySense profiles. And what these do is basically change the setup of the car. So if you click into Edit Current Mode, you can actually play around with the steering response, you can play around with the lighting, you've got a bunch of different choices there. And if you hop back, you can actually change the layout of the gauge cluster from here as well. So flick through and find the one that's the most comfortable for you on the screen in front of you, which is where we'll head now. So the screen in front of you is a mix of both digital and analog. So if you look on the right and left, you have your fuel level and you have your temperature level, and both of those are in the form of analog instruments, and they have light up bars that tell you exactly what level you're on. The interesting thing is the screen in the middle, which is fully digital and, as I showed you before, customizable as well. This is the sport setup, so it actually has the rev counter in large letters, or large numbers rather, across the middle, and then you have the speed, a digital speedometer on there as well. It shows you your average efficiency at the top left. So I've been doing 7.2 liters per 100 Ks. So not too far actually from the manufacturer's recommendations. I'm pretty happy with that because I definitely haven't been driving in a perfect world. Another unique thing that you'll notice actually is that Renault Arkana, the actual car sitting down there in the middle. And what that does is it actually tells you the gap that you have to the car in front of you in terms of seconds. And the car in front of you over here is always shown as a Renault Megane RS, something that you'll never catch up to in frankly any car around corners especially. But it's still nice to see that view of a Megane RS in front of you. So that really is a handy feature to see the time delay to the car in front of you. But plenty going on there. And if you take a step back to look at the steering wheel, there's quite a bit going on here as well. So you've got this nice leather wrap steering wheel which is heated, some good thumb grips, and it's flat on the bottom and sort of flattish on the top as well. I'm not quite sure which geometrical shape that is. Anyway, you've got your buttons over here. This is for cruise control in terms of setting it, and it has actually got dynamic cruise control, so it'll keep the distance according to what you've set. This button on the right here changes the screen in front of you, all the little displays, and then also activates your voice command and stuff like that. If you'll notice, there's no volume button on here. That's because Renault still do that separate stalk down the side for your audio input and for changing songs and stuff like that. It's a unique thing to Renault, but it's pretty easy to get used to actually. Speaking of things that are pretty easy to get used to, let me just hop in the back and show you the space in there. Now, as you'll notice, that sloping roofline is obviously one of the big talking points of this car. And on the inside, well, it doesn't feel that claustrophobic at all because you've got good sized windows here. And if you lean all the way back, I've still got about a hand's width of headroom on the top. So there's a good amount of space there. You can see across the back here, 2 adults can easily fit with a child in the middle. That transmission tunnel isn't too big at all. So even somebody who's a little bit shorter can actually fit quite comfortably in the middle there. You do get a leather armrest there with 2 cup holders. And then if you look at the knee room and leg room, well, this seat is all the way back as it can be. And I've still got a little bit of knee room there, good bit of foot room, a storage net there. And it generally feels pretty comfortable in the back here. And that's further helped by the fact that there's about 8 speakers on the inside of this car, which gives a good sound system to all passengers, frankly. I'm pretty happy with that. Speaking of things that are sort of nice, well, that's the drive, so let's go and do that.
Alright, so don't adjust your TV sets. This is the right way around. Matthew is driving. I'm nervous, but there you go. Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and don't they say do something every day that scares you? This is Matthew behind the wheel of a French car.
Well, you would think that, but actually this is, it's built in Korea and it feels really pretty well made when you shut the door and, there's nothing that rattles about. Things seem to be screwed in well, so it was a good move, I think, from Renault's part.
Yeah, and also the undercarriage is basically part Nissan, part this. So this is actually a multicultural vehicle, really, and bon French. First thing I wanted to point out is its design. I think it's a handsome looking vehicle. I like the coupe styling. It does ride high, but it's only 200 mils. Not necessarily going to go all the way off-road with it, but I think it proportionally looks great. I think it's got a really good look about it.
Definitely, that sleek roofline is very something that does make it stand out and gets a lot of people, looking at it while you drive by, and especially this color, this flame red, makes it even more striking to look at. In that sense, and it is especially that LED light as well. I can see people in the rear view mirror really sort of taking a liking to it just because of how nice it looks, and it sets the car apart really.
Absolutely. So what's it like to drive?
I'm pretty impressed actually because of how high riding it is. It's 200 mils off the ground, but just the fact that you have that underpinnings of a Megane, something which is handled spectacularly, gives it some good kudos. Yeah, it handles really nicely for how high riding it is. How does it feel in the passenger seat?
Yeah, look, I think it feels comfortable. You're not jarring around or anything like that. I think it sits quite nicely on the road. Personally, I think we've discussed this. The seats, I think, are a little bit too narrow for somebody of my girth, and the A pillar, you do have to duck to get in, and if the seats are high, it's a little bit complicated. Well, not complicated, because getting in a car shouldn't really be that complicated, but it's a bit of a contortion thing to get in. Once you're in, headphone is tons of headroom, and certainly for a guy my size, great.
I mean, using a lighter colored material for the roof liner and stuff like that makes it feel more airy and more light filled in here, which is always a welcome thing in some of these coupe SUVs.
Performance wise, I wouldn't say that it's using its kilowatts and newtons to best effect. Would that be fair?
I think absolutely have to agree with that. So that 1.3 liter turbo, while it is efficient, and that's the main purpose of it being there, you won't win any races, and it does struggle to get the car off the line, especially when you have 3 and 4 people in it. Then at every gear you're revving up to 2200 RPM to change, so it does need some momentum to get going, and definitely needs that turbo power as well.
But you've nailed the efficiency, so it is very efficient. It's a clever system.
I mean, 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers is my average, and I've been driving in traffic, basically. There's no other way to put it, so you wouldn't be too cut about that.
The tech, I think, is a little bit slow. It sort of takes a moment, I don't know, that's my worst French ever, but a moment between sort of, it bleeps a little bit and then decides to do something. So it's on French time, I think, is probably much what we call it.
And yeah, if you flick the seat heater button, it does take a little quick delay before you actually get to the screen where you can turn your seat heaters on. So all those things, I guess, are part of the quirks of having a Renault, for example, because you choose this car because you do want something different, right? You don't want to be run-of-the-mill mainstream sort of person.
Yeah, visibility is good though, so I think they've nailed that all the way around. Certainly when you let me have a go, there's actually, you could look around really nicely.
I've got to say, one thing I do like about the dual clutch gearbox, even though it's slow to change up and a bit slow generally, one thing that it does well is when you're braking downhill, it doesn't actually change down like most other gearboxes do, and then you're heading downhill revving like crazy. It almost sort of goes into a rolling mode, if you like. So the gear is there, but you're not using the accelerator at all, and it goes efficiently downhill, which is quite good.
Goes efficiently downhill. I don't know what that means. I must say, when I was allowed to drive it a little bit, I did attack a roundabout or a corner a little bit friskily, let's say, and it does like to squeal its wheels a little bit. So for those that like that little bit of excitement there, bon. But overall, I think it sits nicely in the corners. I think it's you're not going to rally drive in this, and it's going to do what it needs to do nicely.
I mean, it's exactly what currently people want, is that SUV ride height, this sort of dominant position, but then also that style of having a coupe and a sloping roof line and all the lights and all that stuff that come with it. It makes a statement.
So there you have it, the new Renault Arkana. Secret knowledge, no more. Or this is it, secret knowledge incarnate. So nice riding, crossover, more SUV. I would be safer to say. Good styling. I like the coupe look around it, but I think it is going to be a certain type of person that's going to want all the Frenchness, all the styling that it's got, to be honest.
It's definitely, a niche choice for sure, but it's one that you'll see more and more on the road with the way this car looks. It really does make a statement, and it's nice to have another Renault in the SUV segment. So there you go. There's the secret.
Secret knowledge. Love it. Now get out. I want to drive. See you next time.